I'm Sara Gilliam. I go here at Central with my husband Tyler and our daughter Hadley. She's in our preschool ministry. And I just wanted to come to you today to kind of share my testimony with you. So, my testimony obviously starts way back whenever I was born and growing up. We went to church all the time. So, we were the family that was there Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the time. And then all of a sudden, we stopped going to church whenever I was around 12. And so, for most of my adult life, my family didn't go to church because of extenuating circumstances and other reasoning, but we just didn't go. And so, as I was growing up and going into high school, and then I went off to a boarding school and then to college, all of those years were kind of riddled with bad decisions. So, you've got your typical, going to parties and drinking and doing drugs and making awful, awful decisions all throughout most of high school and the 1 year of college that I went to. So whenever I was in college, I was drinking every day, going to class drunk. And so whenever someone came up to me and said, Sarah, what are you doing? What is going on? Do you not know God? Are you not saved? And I'm like, well, yeah, I know. I know that Jesus came to die for us, and I know that that God is real, but they were like, well, what does that mean to you? And well, for me, I'm like, well, I don't know. And they said, well, you just need to think about it and pray about it. And so me, in my mind, I'm like, how can I pray? How can I talk to God? How can I possibly? Because my life, I was at such a low, doing all of these bad, awful things that I look back on them and I'm just humiliated by them. I am ashamed of who I was, but none of that mattered because that night I laid in my bed and that was just ringing through my head. You need to pray about it. And I was, upset and hurt and thinking, how am I going to pray? So I laid in my bed that night and it just kept on resonating. You need to pray. You need to pray. So I was laying in my bed looking up at the ceiling, and for some reason the light had cast a shadow on my ceiling to where it kind of looked like. So in my mind, I was like, okay, God, I'm ready to talk. So that night I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed some more, and I was hurt and angry about things that had happened, and all of these bad things and bad decisions, and scared because how could God love me? And so in that time, I could hear God's words. You are not alone. I am here. I don't care what you've done. You have the choice to make now. What are you going to do? I am not here to hurt you. I am not here I don't cause these bad things to happen. I just want you for who you are. Because while I was still a sinner, He sent Christ for me. And so all of these things, and I have prayed like I've never prayed in my life. And that next day I woke up and I made the choice to not drink. And throughout my whole life, God had always been there, just that nagging sense of, well, He is here, and I know that He's real, and I know that He sent Jesus. But that didn't influence any of my actions. It didn't. If nothing else, I was denouncing God throughout my high school years. And that is where the shame comes in. But God told me that night, He said, it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter who you've been. It matters that I love you. And so whenever I woke up the next day, after being out almost all night praying about it, I could see my life starting to change, just one thing at a time, because all the bad things that were, that still happened, I was like, well, but this is God's will. This isn't my will. It doesn't matter what I want. God has a plan for me. And so I started reading my Bible and trying to make changes. And we didn't really have a church home until we got back in Texarkana a year and a half ago. And we started coming here to Central. And so I am trying to live out my life every day to who God wants me to be, because He pulled me up from all of this sin and despair and anger and bitterness. And He softened my heart. And it's a continual process that God is just working in me. And I can see it and I can feel it in the way that I view others and view myself. And so all of that goes to say that it doesn't matter who you've been. It doesn't matter what you've done. I know that we all hear that all the time. Well, Christ came for sinners. But what does that mean for you? That means that if you are in these pits and you know, or maybe you don't know, that God is real and He loves you and that He sent Jesus throughout all of this sin and despair, God still loves you. He loved me whenever I was at my lowest. And He still loves you and He wants you. He wanted me. He still wants me. And He still wants to work in our lives. And so bad things still are going to happen. I mean, there will be sickness, there will be death, but none of that matters because it's God's will for you and it's God's will for me. And so, regardless of the circumstances, we know that we have a home in heaven and that whenever this is all over, we will be able to rejoice because God did send Jesus here to save us. Save even a dirty sinner like I was, like I still am. But He loves me and He loves you too.